Welcome back, Trenders! We know the world can be a dreadfully heavy place at times, but the good news is that if you have a subscription to Netflix, there are plenty of lighthearted comedic offerings to choose from to help you get your laugh on. Your friends here at Trender have a whole lot of time on our hands and have gleefully devoted our time to curating a list just for you of the best comedies currently streaming on the service. Keep watching to see what we think is worthy of adding to your watch list. 12. Dear White People. This poignant Netflix series, based upon Justin Simeon's much-applauded 2014 indie film of the same name, replicates much of its source materials as hard-hitting humor without ever seeming stale or regurgitated. The show has chops, and its sharp wit is pointed in just about every direction. While the brunt of its focus is taking on the subject of white privilege, Dear White People does so in both outrageous and benign ways. It's set on the campus of a fictional Ivy League school, and the series really finds its stride when it focuses on the details of the black students' personal and ideological choices. Dear White People's fourth and final season will be released on September 22nd, leaving you plenty of time to catch up before its finale. 11. Sex Education. An insecure, sensitive, yet brilliant boy, played by Asa Butterfield, with a ridiculously unreserved sex guru mother, played by Gillian Anderson, an absentee dad, and a bumbling bully magnet of a best friend, navigates a limited social life while suffering from a crippling fear of his own genitalia in this uninhibited comedy series created by Laurie Nunn. Netflix's latest raunchy yet thoroughly binge-worthy coming-of-age comedy isn't shy about employing a few well-worn tropes, but it doesn't feel the need to rely too heavily upon them either. Sex Education shines in its character development, making for a captivating series you won't be able to turn away from. 2 seasons of this uproariously funny series are up on Netflix at the moment for your viewing pleasure, and a third is scheduled for release September 17th. 10. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. NBC has made quite a few blunders over the year, but few are worse than their shelving of Tina Fey and Robert Carlock's 30 Rock follow-up before sending it to Netflix. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is arguably one of Netflix's biggest hits during an already great year for TV comedies. This fast-paced and spry sitcom features the breakout performance by Office veteran Ellie Kemper as the eponymous character, trying her best to make it on her own in New York City. After being rescued from a doomsday cult in the fictional town of Durnsville, Indiana, where she and 3 other women were held against their will by Reverend Richard Wayne Gary Wayne, played by John Hamm, for 15 years, Kimmy is determined to be seen as something more than a victim. Armed with only her positivity, she befriends her sharp-witted landlady, Lillian Kaustuper, portrayed by Carol Kane, finds a struggling actor roommate named Titus Andromedon, played by Titus Burgess, and lands a job as a nanny for an out-of-touch and miserably glum socialite, Jacqueline Voorhees, played by Jane Krakowski. With 4 seasons and 52 episodes, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is sure to keep you giggling for many a night. 9. New Girl. When New Girl debuted in 2011, it quickly became one of the standout sitcoms of its time, updating the same basic template that Friends used into the 21st century. But what made it different from its predecessors was its looser, more improvisational feel, which made it feel more genuine than the shows it borrowed from. Much like Friends, New Girl's charm comes less from its writing and more from the chemistry and performances of its all-star cast. It may have been canceled in 2018, but New Girl's legacy will live on through Netflix forever. Trailer Park Boys. You can go ahead and blame Canada for this gem of a comedy, created by Mike Clattenburg, starring John Paul Tremblay, Rob Wells, Mike Smith, and John Dunsworth. After almost 2 decades of being on the air, Trailer Park Boys is basically an institution. But for those who have yet to experience its genius, if you can call it that, the series centers around the escapades of Ricky and Julian, 2 dim-witted schemers, and their weird pal Bubbles. The 3 misfits live in a trailer park, where a whole bunch of other oddballs, nutjobs, and drunks reside. At the end of each season, the boys go to jail, and the shenanigans start over again once they're released. The series has heart, though. The drunken slapstick bits always seem to strike a chord, and the fact that the show embraced pot culture fairly early on seems to have given its enduring popularity among the stoner crowd a helping hand. Sure, it relies heavily on some rather cliched material for laughs, but it never feels dull or uninspired. Big Mouth. Here we have another coming-of-age animated series created by Andrew Goldberg, Nick Kroll, Mark Levin, and Jennifer Flackett. It revolves around a group of teens exploring puberty while embracing a frankness about the human body and sexuality. Kroll and Goldberg based the sitcom on their upbringing in suburban New York, with the former playing a fictional version of his younger self. While the series is admittedly pretty lewd and shamelessly relies upon sex jokes and obscenities to move along its narrative, it's actually a lot sweeter than it first appears. The intended goal of Kroll and Goldberg was to cut through the humiliations of sex, to break through the bodily shame of adolescence, to reveal the perfectly natural yearning underneath, for pleasure, touch, emotional connection, approval, and ultimately love. Wet Hot American Summer, 10 years later. Netflix's satirical comedy series is a follow-up to the 2001 film Wet Hot American Summer, and is also the prequel series to 2015's Wet Hot American Summer, First Day of Camp. The limited 8-episode series was released in 2017, but it has enjoyed enduring popularity on the streaming service we all know and love. The reboot series manages to redefine the characters we fell for 2 decades ago, while offering up countless laughs and a healthy dose of heart to boot. Schitt's Creek. What happens when a wealthy, spoiled, rotten, entitled family gets stripped of their fortune and abruptly transplanted to a rural town in the middle of nowhere? Schitt's Creek explores that question in the most hilariously witty of ways. Eugene Levy plays the patriarch of the family, Johnny Rose, a once successful owner of a chain of video stores who discovers, albeit not voluntarily, that his real calling in life is running a motel where he and his family live. Moira Rose, a former soap opera star played by Catherine O'Hara, seems to be more devoted to her cherished wig collection than her family, but in time, she too falls for the quirky charm of the town of Schitt's Creek and all of its off-kilter residents. The series was co-created by Levy's wickedly funny son Dan, and he, for the first 2 seasons of the series, was its primary draw. After opening a store in town, his character David meets and falls in love with the love of his life, while his sister Alexis, played by Annie Murphy, decides to finally earn her high school diploma and enroll in community college. What started off as a fish-out-of-water tale becomes a gentler, warmer, and richer comedy about what happens when said fish sprouts legs and lays down new roots in its new environment. 30 Rock. Having run from 2006 to 2013, Tina Fey's 30 Rock was, without a doubt, one of the finer comedy series to air on NBC in the early 21st century. The show draws from Fey's experiences as head writer for SNL, and as such takes place behind the scenes of a fictional sketch comedy show depicted as airing on NBC. The show's name references 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York, the location where NBC Studios is located and where SNL was produced. If you haven't given it a watch, prepare yourself for a series that offers endless laughs and an impeccable cast of comedians and actors, including the likes of Tracy Morgan, Alec Baldwin, Jane Krakowski, Jack McBrayer, and Scott Adsit. BoJack Horseman. Without question, BoJack Horseman is one of the most underrated comedies ever made, and it hurts our souls it hasn't earned more praise. BoJack is a horse person who once had a thriving career as a network sitcom star, but has since become a drunken, washed-up has-been. Will Arnett plays the titular star, BoJack, and Paul F. Tompkins voices the childlike and effortlessly funny character, Mr. Peanut Butter. What at first glance seems like a typical redemption story is actually one of the most surreal, thoughtful, and wry comedies to have hit the airwaves in years. Look beyond the anthropomorphism and animation style and allow yourself to become enamored of a comedy that rides the line between hilarious and sad like no other on TV. Community. Created by Dan Harmon, this 6-season comedy that first appeared on NBC in 2009 has no qualms with breaking the fourth wall, acknowledging it has done so, and then building a fifth wall for no reason to demolish it as well. Set at a community college in the fictional town of Greendale, Colorado, the series stars an ensemble cast consisting of folks like Chevy Chase, Donald Glover, Joel McHale, Danny Pudi, Yvette Nicole Brown, and Allison Brie. It makes heavy use of meta-humor and pop culture references while paying homage to film and television tropes. Dan Harmon and company perfected the art of taking these gimmicky concepts and transforming them into strong, character-driven gems. While Community wrapped up in 2014, all 6 seasons of the series are currently available on Netflix for your viewing pleasure. Arrested Development. Mitch Hurwitz's sitcom about a wealthy family who lost everything, leaving Michael Bluth, played by Jason Bateman, with no choice but to keep them all together, packed a whole lot of laughs into 3 short seasons. Not since Seinfeld has there been a comedic plotline so perfectly concocted, with every loose thread tying together so perfectly into the next equally hilarious arc. Each member of the dysfunctional Bluth family are among some of the best characters to ever appear on TV. Fox canceled the series in 2006 after its third season, but Netflix brought it back for a fourth and fifth season in 2013 and 2018, respectively. If you haven't given Arrested Development a watch yet, you're seriously doing yourself a huge disservice. So, did we miss anything? Let us know what your favorite comedy series are currently streaming on Netflix in the comment section below. And before we go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Trender if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.